And let's talk a little bit about the third brother. And I knew you were a big fan of it when we last talked, which is Vue. How have your thoughts changed, or where are your thoughts now on Vue? Which of the three, it doesn't sound like Angular, but which of the three would be your go-to for, let's say, a quick project that you wanted to start or an idea you had, benefits of Vue versus React, cons? I haven't explored it much myself, but what are your thoughts on that now, 2 years later? I'm super curious to hear it.
So I've used both React and Vue since they were released, and I have a lot of love for Vue. Um, I built a project at a full product at Collio on top of it. Uh, Originally integrating TypeScript was kind of tricky, but I felt like based off my experience level, Vue was just the perfect fit. Angular was too much. React could go in too many different, harebrained directions if you didn't know the proper patterns. But Vue, I felt like did just enough. And whenever somebody's like learning how to work with component-based frameworks, I always recommend Vue. Um, it does just enough for you. It makes it super easy to get up and started with. They have a really solid CLI tooling and standard libraries, and even their the development UI tool. Uh, they have a lot of features that make it really easy to use and build any kind of application for developers of all levels. My complaints with Vue came when, and it's not Vue, it's me. When I started trying to do some really tricky things on side projects, where I was trying to do create like some flow-based programming solutions, and I was creating some really interesting constructors for like generating components that then generated other things, and TypeScript got super heavy, and I eventually got to the place where Vue just wasn't the right tool for the job, which I hated. But Vue is great if you're going to build an application and you want things to be as simple as possible. Um, but I feel like its usability starts to fall apart a little bit when you're creating uh, extremely dense tooling. So if I were to build like a CMS that, let's say I was building a CMS where people could inject custom components, and those components could be consumed in like 5 different ways by the UI on the CMS to display in a bunch of different fancy ways. They wanted the types to be like passed through everywhere. Um, like with React, you can get down to the level of using JavaScript or HJSX if you really needed to. You can really break things down to the simplest parts, and you're not limited by uh, the part of the scale that Vue has sort of set themselves at in the center for how to actually construct these components.
Gotcha.
And so React definitely can be more complicated, but yeah. So nowadays, I think Vue is great. I recommend it to everybody that's getting started or anybody that doesn't really know which one to choose. But for the kind of work that I do, I find that the programmatic flexibility of React has been a lot better. And so if I'm starting a new project, I'm going to start with React. But I recognize that that's not going to be the right choice for every project or for every team.